Welcome to our talk of the eclipse cycle coming through our sky. This September 2025, we have a solar eclipse in Virgo and a lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. This is going to take us back to events that are extremely rare. How rare? 1895 was the last time we had eclipses in this position. Well, we also had exalted Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, blessing both the lunar and solar eclipse. I'm so excited to see what this eclipse cycle is going to look like for each of us. It's nothing like you've ever experienced before, although we have had eclipses along this angle every 18 years historically, going back to 2006 and 7, going back to 1987, 89, going back to 1967, 68. We keep repeating the cycle over and over again every 18 and a half years, where the nodes are in Pisces and Virgo and give us eclipses there. But you haven't seen the help of Jupiter exalted in Cancer ever before in your life. So I cannot wait to discuss this with you in today's video. This is going to be an overview for your sign of what I call the axis of destined change. That is the houses in your chart that are related to the Virgo and Pisces piece of sky, and that creates a 180-degree axis of change. This is change, guys, that is fated and destined. And I'm in this overview video today, which I think will be no longer than 90 minutes. I'm going to give you some ideas of what might happen, what kind of change you might expect. And I'm going to ask you to do some historical comparisons as well. We have some cycles that we can rinse and repeat and compare to. And what I find phenomenal about this cycle is the solar eclipse that we're going to be having. That's going to appear at 29 degrees of Virgo, is exactly the same eclipse that happens over and over again historically. It's kind of eerie. In 1968, on September 22nd, we had a 29-degree Virgo eclipse. In 1987, on September 22nd, we had a 29-degree Virgo eclipse. In 2006, on September 22nd, we had a 29-degree Virgo eclipse. And in 2025, on September 21st, we have a 29-degree Virgo eclipse. And so we keep seeing that date and that number, or the close to that date, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So I will remind you of that when we look at your sign, how to go back and maybe think about comparisons. Don't forget, an eclipse is not about the day of the eclipse. It is about the time that unfolds just before and after. And for eclipses, we feel the energy in advance. Like for a lunar eclipse, maybe up to a month in advance. For a solar eclipse, even 3 months in advance. We feel the eclipse energy building up. And for a lunar eclipse, up to 3 months after, you really get the lay of the land, but it can go as long as 6 months to unfold its full storyline. And for a solar eclipse, we kind of get what's going on within 6 months. We know what the eclipse is giving us in our life for sure, but it can still rattle on up to a year after the eclipse. So keep in mind, we're really talking about axes of destined change in our life. It could be about your marriage and yourself, your home versus your career, your windfall gains and your good fortune on those sides, chunky money or earned money. We're talking about axes of change, right? Houses that are opposing each other and where the change is coming from. So we're going to talk about your sign. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac, of course. Whole sign houses are the way to go. Once you go whole sign, you never go back. Try it out. Trust me on this. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. But also, you need these whole sign houses to use Time Lords and ancient timing tools, which is why we use the whole sign house system, which is still used in India today. Now, the other thing I want to tell you is that the only thing I want to share about what I'm up to these days, because I'm up to so much over in Patreon and Substack, is that I am an astrologer who teaches, and I teach a lot of astrology classes, but my signature flagship program is called Sky Reader. It's not to certify you to be an astrologer. It's to time your best life and be your own astrologer. Come join me in that 6-week program starting on Saturday, the 27th of September. It's for 1 hour and a half. Usually the classes usually run longer, but minimum 90 minutes. And we go for 6 weeks. And we have everything you want in a course. It's fun. You get connections with other students in the Facebook group, private community, or Discord. We have weekly Q&A calls with me. We also have 4 guest astrologer teachers bringing Thursday modules to you in the evening. Optional. You don't have to go, of course. But if you do, you'll love it. And if you don't even go, you get to keep the content anyway. content is kept by you forever, ever, and ever in my teaching platform. Once you sign up for the course, whether you attend all the classes or not, you can watch the replays and you can learn yourself as well. So come join me on Skyreader. We're starting September 27th. This video is coming out on August I can't guess what date I'm going to drop this baby, but maybe the 18th, 19th. And by then I probably may or may not have the enrollment cart open yet. So if you don't see it below the video, then what you can do is get on the early bird discount wait list for a discount code, and you'll also get notification of when the actual tuition cart has opened. I'm changing platforms to Thinkific. I'm traveling, I'm moving. And so I haven't got it up yet, but we got it quite a ways to go. It's more than a month before class starts. Okay. Thanks for listening. Let's get started. Let's talk about the sky in general and then your sign. Because I'm a teaching astrologer and I want you to know what to do with the sky and how you use the sky, I'm always sharing the tools I use. And there's many tools I use, like astroseek.com and stuff like that, astro-seek.com. But one thing I want to share with you guys as a handy tool is a funny one. It's Suzanne Miller of Astrology Zone. She's been around since I don't know, the 70s or something. She's got a great website where she just literally puts all of those eclipse pieces together for us all. And she's pretty amazing that way. And if you want a fast and dirty list of the eclipse cycles throughout time, just go to her site. Okay. It's very user friendly. It's easy to find. And you can scroll through all of the eclipses, past, present, and future. And so the website is Suzanne Miller, and you just skip her name, astrologyzone.com eclipse dates. If you were to Google Astrology Zone eclipse dates, you'll come to a historical list of all of the eclipses, when they've happened, and whether they were in a solar or lunar phase. For example, here you're seeing 1986. And over here, you're seeing 1985. You'll notice that in 1985, we were in Scorpio Taurus eclipses. And in 1986, we were still on a little bit of the leftover of the Aries Libra starting here. Aries, Libra, Scorpio, Aries, sorry. And in 1987, we began to move into, for example, Virgo, 29 degrees on September 22nd of 1987. 1988 was Virgo, Pisces, Virgo. We're in the thick of it. And by 1809, these eclipses are waning, Virgo, Pisces, and at the end, Virgo. What I'm trying to say, therefore, is the nugget or the egg yolk of eclipses in the Virgo Pisces axis was really 1988. With a little bit in 86 and a little bit in 89. That's why I love checking these sites out. It's really, really useful. When we talk about our eclipses this fall, we're coming into the thick of it. That's because the nodal axis changed. The north and south node moved into the north node in Pisces, south node in Virgo around January the 11th, 2024. And now these eclipses that we're experiencing, we had sort of a partial, we were juggling the two stories of the old eclipse cycle, Aries Libra, and the new one coming in, right? So we had, for example, an eclipse September 18th of 2024 at 26 degrees of Pisces, but it was also with the energy not quite shifted all the way over because the north node was still in Aries and the south node was still in Libra. So now we're really in the thick of the eclipses. What was just tickling us a little bit for eclipse energy at the fall last year, 24, is now in full swing throughout all of 2025 eclipses. We had an Aries eclipse trickling into at the end of the day, March 30th. So we had the last 9-degree Aries eclipse in March 30th of 2025, but we had a real solid eclipse as well in the spring in Virgo, and it would have been March 14th, 15th, and there was a Virgo eclipse around, memory serves me, maybe 26 degrees of Virgo. So we're now here fully in the fall. Like we got 2 feet in this story. No more Aries, no more Libra bothering us. Those eclipses are dead as a doornail. We're moving fully into the Virgo and the axis of Pisces for each of us with these eclipses this fall. Total lunar eclipse, September 7th in the sign of Pisces at 15 degrees. And then a partial solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo on September 21st. That's what we're going to talk about as an axis of change. And I want to share a couple other things with you just for your edification before we get going. I'm becoming quite the addict of the content and the cool things created by Coppertist Woo. And if you want to buy any of his material, because I'm basically helping his channel, his jewelry grow, I don't make money off of it really. I get discounts for you guys and I get free jewelry to show you. This is the Tarot Vision pendant and you spin it and those are symbols for the major arcana. And I love this. This is a fun, take it with you Oracle divination tool. But also he sent me this one just recently and it's a tarot pendant. You guys know how to do those, right? Not a tarot pendant. Sorry. That's the other one. You know what this is, guys? This is like when you want to douse, when you want to use your pendant to make, answer a question, is it my highest and best good to buy more Bitcoin? Ooh, maybe I should be buying my Bitcoin. And what I love about it is not only how beautiful it is, isn't it? Sorry, you're going to make myself dizzy and you too. But it's one of those things where you could unscrew the top and you can put inside of it, of all things, anything. In this case, it came with a gift of a little, looks like a rose quartz, right? Piece of rose quartz, but you can put solid perfume in there. Well, and you can put anything in there, if you know what I mean. Any handy thing you want to have handy. But I love this. I just really love this idea of having it also an oracle pendant with you everywhere you go. So if you want to look into this, Coppertist Woo, I just think, my code for August is Lori, Lori, all caps 30, Lori 30, I believe it's caps. That will give you 30% off any of this kind of jewelry that he has. And I'll show you his website because why the hell not? I think it's just so beautiful. And I'm just sharing authentically. Now I'm not making money from the sales. This is literally, I love jewelry. I have Venus and Taurus, guys. I'm addicted to find beautiful things. And this is like all the kinds of pendants that you can get. I have this one too, the Oracle Pyramid pendant. We'll be sharing that in another video. I mean, the guy is a mad scientist genius. Is this not the most stunning stuff you've ever seen? I have now several items over the last 3 years of Coppertist Woo's amazing, beautiful material. It's just so creative. It's very gothic, magical, alchemical. Almost some of it reminds me of I don't know, Egyptian, and some of it reminds me of, I don't know what you call it, Victorian England and alchemy and Middle Age magic. You know what I mean? Now, he's got earrings too, of course. There's the Oracle Vision pendant that I just showed you as well, which I've really enjoyed using it. He's got a Tibetan pendant collection that I just got rid of. I bypassed it. All right, you get the gist. Okay, coppertistwoo.com. The website is in my description box. Now I'm going to put my tarot pendant, sorry, what do you call it? Pendulum. That's the word I want. It's a pendulum. It's a pendulum. I'm going to put my pendulum back on. Oh my gosh. I'm going to take this on my trips with me from now on an airplane, should I order the blank blank from the menu. All right. So let's get started and talk about the vibe of your sign and what your axis of changes. I've been adding oracle draws to most of my readings. I'll do that when I get to the individual eclipse videos. There's too much complication between the two sides of the story, right? South node, let go in Virgo, north node, amplify worldly success. Yeah, in Pisces. So I can't really cover it with one tarot card draw. So instead, I'll just give you my insights astrologically today, and hopefully that's enjoyable for you. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Come join me in Sky Reader, information below. In the description box is also everything about me, including getting a reading with me. Although right now I'm too busy. I'm not taking any new readings or clients right now, but I will be putting a referral website out on my website. Okay, let me show you the sky. Well, there's no accounting for that. Just starting up without me. Mercury's still half-ass station direct. All right. I was just going to go get my mouse so that I don't wreck my shoulder. So let me show you the sky. Let's get started. I'll be pulling up the chart of our axis of change eclipses. So let's get that showing up for you. Now, do remember that this is general bell curve astrology, but today we're going to take a look at the sky and give you the best general gist of the general gist of it that I can. But if you want to get personal readings with astrologers, you'll have a lot more content, information, understanding of how this will impact you personally at a real individual level. But still, general astrology does give you guidance as well. But I do want to qualify that it's not a personal reading, obviously. And if you're listening today for things to do with your rising sign, it's your simulation avatar character in the game of life. Your sun is the game player in the simulation, not the character, but also can point you in the direction of things to do with purpose and career, whereas the moon can be indicative of home and nest and how you feel about the story. You know, the eclipse to my moon, exactly on my moon, basically in March of 2025 led to my landlord telling me she's selling the house and I had to move. And here I am in my new place. So astrology does work. It's very literal. The eclipse was on my 8-degree moon in Aries, and it was a 9-degree Aries eclipse. So those are real stories. Every 18 years, I get an eclipse to my moon, I move. Okay. Especially if it's right on my moon. So bottom line is, here's the cycle to remind you of. It goes back to kind of, 68, 67, 68, 69, or maybe it's more like, let me double check that. That last cycle of eclipses kind of interestingly was all over the map. It was a strangely long eclipse cycle back in the 60s. Yeah, it was started in the fall of 68 with a 29-degree eclipse, but it actually trickled all the way to a last eclipse in Pisces in 1971, February. So you can go fall of 68 to spring of 71. So if those older people here, I was a child, you might remember some stories from your life back then. Otherwise, we're looking at everybody kind of leaning into the stories that may have been occurring in 1986, 87, 89. What might 87, 89 in particular. Yes, 87, 89, 87, 88, 89. So go back to 87, 88, 89, go back to, 2006, 2007. These are the other energies that you might get some comparisons to. And even into early 2008, there was a trickle through, right? So I'm going to say, go back to those time frames now. Please write them down or something. It gets exhausting to repeat myself. Go back to like 2006 to 2008. Go back to like 1986, 80, I think it's 87, 88, 89. I don't have my notes in front of me anymore, but whatever. It's been a long day, and I'm running on what I would say is 5 hours sleep today. So thanks, guys. Just hanging in there. I was up early. Schumann resonance was spiking all over the place. So there's a sky here. I'm not starting on the eclipse. I'm recording on August the 14th. You can see that's where we are. And I just want to show you something on the sky here, which I've pinned to Aries. Let me get rid of that volcano. The reason you're seeing this celestial body called Volcanus is because he's tracking with Mercury as I record on August 14th, or Mercury's tracking with him actually. And there is also at the same time a square to the exalted moon. And I was looking at that yesterday, August 13th, the day before I recorded it, wondering if that could indicate volcanic activity being really intense at this time. We may not mean anything, right, at all. But with Uranus also sextiling Volcanus and Mercury, there's a possibility of a major volcanic eruption that may occur sometime this week of August the 14th. I'm recording on the 14th. This is a Thursday. Now, if I move us into the eclipse season, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're going to get into the next month. And here we are coming into September. And when we get to the 7th of the month, I just want you to see what it looks like. Right there is the 7th of the month. And we'll have the eclipse at 15 degrees of the sign of Pisces. And there is Jupiter at 19 degrees of Cancer. And there is flow between these guys. And this is positive. Jupiter is benefic, exalted, and powerful. And the North and South node are both benefiting because also Jupiter is flowing to the South node. And this is over here where the eclipse is going to occur on the 20th 9 degrees of Virgo on the 21st of September. I'm not going to necessarily rotate the chart, but I will show you one thing. Like when we do your sign, I know where things are, so I'll just give you the gist of it. But I would point out that Venus will leave on the 19th. Her travels through entitled Leo and move into her detriment called her fall in Virgo when the eclipse is going to happen. This eclipse will be somewhat problematic for things that are Venusian in our world: pleasure, beauty, and peace. And so we could say a fall in peace. We could say that. And we would look to Virgo placements. Virgo is the place where Benjamin Netanyahu has his midheaven. In fact, this is pretty close, this eclipse, as was the one in March, to his midheaven. We could see some fall from influence or celebrity or popularity for him and have a major level of that in the month of September, closer to this September 20th eclipse and onward. But other Virgo placements would be the country of Lebanon is a Virgo rising. They will have some situations unfold in their story that look like letting go, surrendering, trouble, or difficulty. And historically, every 18 years, they do have trouble with civil wars or wars from their neighbor, Israel. And it's always pretty predictable with those guys. Netanyahu wants to make greater Israel. He just came out and said he believes he's got a mission to do so. And that was the Times of Israel who posted that. It's all over the media at this point. Well, that's going to impact Lebanon because the greater Israel would include taking parts of South Lebanon. So this is definitely something to pay attention to for any Virgo rising, sun, moon, or rising celebrity, leader, or country. Solar eclipses tend to be highly impactful on the geopolitical stage. Okay. And that's what I've got for you, just so you can see it. But nonetheless, anyway, no matter what, guess what happens? Jupiter also witnesses this eclipse and sends rays of blessings that way. And particularly, he's applying towards that energy. And therefore, the rays he sends are pretty strong. And he's trying to make good things happen out of difficult circumstances. Yet Jupiter is the moral sheriff, the justice Jupiter, and he gives us what we want, not always what we need. What we need, not always what we want, globally, politically, and everything else. And we'll see what goes on with that. Now, this is really a video for you guys. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go into each sign and talk about the eclipse. We're focused primarily on the axis of destined fated change, which is this axis of the Pisces and the Virgo story, with a touch point on how Jupiter is helping move this along in a most splendiferous way, in a most positive way. Mercury is the ruler of the South Node eclipse. Okay, and he will be traveling through the sign of Libra during this solar eclipse. And Jupiter is the lord or the ruler of the North Node eclipse, and he will be obviously traveling through Cancer until next summer. So we can see where the lords of the eclipses are as well. I know where Venus is. I don't need to always be looking at her, so I'm going to take her out, and I want to simplify the chart, okay? So let's just leave in Jupiter, and we could also leave in Mercury because he's the lord of one of the eclipse cycles, the sun and the moon, and the nodes themselves. And that's all we need to sort of talk about the story. Let's keep it very clear and clean and simple for everybody involved. And we'll start with Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising. It's clear to me that their axis of destined fated change, like it was back in the day of 2006 and 7. Hang on a sec, guys. I've got to fix something to do with my computer. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign, definitely go back if you want to remember kind of like 1987 to 1989 and 2006 to 2008. And here we go, 2024 to 2027, actually, with here's like a trailing eclipse in February of 2027. So it's like fall of 24, epicenter 2025, 26, and trailing out into a strange last eclipse in 2027. It's kind of an unusual situation to be saying it's going that long, but it does do that, which is kind of odd, but let's go with it. So having these eclipses here, let me just tell you, means that you're making changes, Aries, sun, moon, and rising, to things to do with your health, your work, and your work routines, and maybe matters to do as well with pets and residencies, tenancies, pets, residential tenancy agreements, as a landlord or a leasee, debts that you actually owe or karmic debts that you must let go of. This is sixth house stories. Well, you're also activating the axis 12. These are very karmic energies. This is very between the worlds, spiritual energy off the main game board of life. So don't worry so much about it. But North Node is about your mystical stories, your spiritual liberation, your addictions and self-undoing, distant far off shores and lands, time alone and solitude and isolation. Now, North Node will increase your desire for isolation or time alone or solitude, as the North Node has been traveling here since the beginning of January and will end in summer, the North Node itself next summer, mid next summer. But the eclipses will continue to rattle this part of the sky no matter what. And so I want you to think back to those other years I mentioned, because you might have made some significant changes in dietary and health habits, for example, taking care of your health. You might have had a temporary health challenge. South Node could bring those temporary health challenges, that they come, they go. They don't always have to stick around. With a fallen Venus in Virgo during this eclipse of September 21st, also, she may translate the challenge that you have to other areas of the chart, particularly, for example, one of the things that may happen is a change of work or change of job, because she activates her second house as well, and may say we have to release, surrender, or let go, or if we don't, we'll fall from our job. We can also let go of a dietary habit or food, something that goes in our mouth, right? Second house stories. And you'll be able to see that possibility starting in September's eclipse all the way through a year. And the September 7th eclipse, of course, activates changes, a total lunar eclipse of fulfillment and completion and shift along this axis of change. And for some of you, because of Jupiter's blessed support in that wedge formation, as he sits in the fourth house, there is an indication of a possible shift of location for where you live. It could be to a distant foreign land or far offshore. It could be a move connected to a new rental property opportunity. And this could happen anywhere from 6 months after the lunar eclipse, which is happening on September 7th, and up to a year after the solar eclipse, which is happening on September 21st. It'd be very unlikely for you to stay put under this kind of positive flowing eclipse energy. Finally, Jupiter means children. And that means children, what? Grandchildren, children, more children. You might have more children connecting to your home in fated, destined ways, but I'm not sure what the impetus would be for those children to arrive. For example, the sun in a solar eclipse rules your house of children. Maybe your children are having children and you're going to end up with more of them, grandkids as well. Jupiter rules your house of grandchildren, and he's trining the North Node of expansion and volume up. So a lot of this can look like, for some Aries, sun, moon, and rising, the advent or an increase of children in the household, near the household, or in the family unit itself. If you want to rent a property, it looks really beautiful for you. I think rental agreements can work very, very well. And also new partnerships in business and new agreements regarding contracts for work, thanks to Mercury as the ruler of the South Node eclipse. And yet, South Node is always about what we release, not what we add. What do you need to let go of in the work so that you can expand and grow and succeed and prosper in and from your home, or because you're doing something positive? Jupiter in the home. 1895 was the last time Jupiter blew his beautiful energy toward the North Node, South Node in this particular way. 1895 isn't coming back again anytime soon. We have to capture the rarity of the moment and roll with this story. If there's any chance that you wish to find a new path of spiritual liberation, that you want to investigate teacher or guru energy and maybe open up your story to enlightenment, this could look good on you. Maybe I remember when this happened for me, I had a guru living in my home, Jupiter guru in the home. This last happened to me to correspond to a similar story. I would tell you one more thing about this. You could find yourself in this kind of axis, breaking out of karmic chains that bind you. It could be very subtle, or it could be very not subtle. You all know what you mean, right? Like there's some kind of sense, you feel like you're living your life on some kind of script that you didn't write. Like, what is this story? Am I getting punished for other lives? Or why am I doing this pattern over again? I like Jupiter's benefic blessings to help break through the axis of karmic debts in past lives, 12 and 6, to shift dramatically ways in which you have bound yourself to former stories, former lives, and other times, if you believe in that stuff. And with Saturn over here and with the North Node, I guess we should put him back in since he's playing a big role. He just retrograded back there September 1st, and he leaves the next February. This is the Lord of Time and Karma in a house that's on an axis of karma. And it looks to me like somebody wants to snap karmic fetters or shackles and break free of whatever the karmic shackles are doing to hold you back. Remember that Uranus is in early Gemini and will square the September 7th eclipse. We'll be doing a deep dive on each of those. I just wanted to give you a touch point rather than a whole deliberation of both sides of this change axis. There's a hornet in here again. Fuck. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to run. I'm just going to stay still. Hornet, wasp, whatever. We have somebody with a wasp nest near my place, and I mean, in the building, right? And what can you do? Honestly, what can you do? Whole sign houses. I need to rotate the chart. I only had 6 hours, if that, sleep last night. If I sound irritated with reality, please bear with me. Well, why? I should rest before I do the video. No, I don't have time to rest. I'm going on a trip to the United States, and I'm going on a trip after that to the Yukon. Okay. And I'm just getting over COVID, from a week and a bit ago. Okay, let's get rolling. No, I still have COVID. Guys, you don't have to not travel with the vid anymore, after you don't have a fever or anything else. I only had 4 days of not being well. Okay, so let's go on to Taurus. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. The axes that you're dealing with, the axis of destined fated change, brings into focus 11th and 5th house themes. Now, the 5th house can be matters to do with creativity and entrepreneurial success and the muse and art and fun and pleasure and romantic love and fertility and children. The South Node here can indicate troubles in your life with your children, and the eclipses can replicate an amplification of the troubles with your children or in the lives of your children. And you'll notice that the September 21st eclipse is on that story. Well, that whole area of the chart, the 5th house, is also connected to what it is that you are experiencing when it comes to life's joys. And so South Node can deplete the joy. If you got pregnant under this, or your partner did, South Node says fated, destined, maybe even past life connection to the soul of the baby coming in. Now, Saturn is up with the North Node on that eclipse that's going to happen earlier in the month, which is on the 7th of September. And it's fated, destined change in your 11th house of long-range goals, dreams, and visions for what you want to have happen. Maybe money that you make directly, profits from your career, salary, earnings, gains from the career specifically. It's also energetically kind of the supporters and cheerleaders of your life. Your friends, your family aren't really there. And it's your friends, but as allies and benefactors. And possibly even the sibling one older than you is having this massive worldly success, right? So wherever you see the North Node and South Node, the North Node indicates striving for success and accolades and fame and wealth, whereas the South Node is spiritual enlightenment energies. All right. So they're going in different directions. They have different agendas. But I like the North Node up here because not seen since 1895, you're going to have Jupiter participating in such a beautiful flow. And he wants to benefit in a wedge, as you can see, literally both of the eclipses. So these eclipses can bring you good fortune. Jupiter represents wealth. The house of good fortune represents speculation and gambling wins. And you never know, with that a new beginning, fresh start portal of the 29-degree intensity eclipse, you might come into an unexpected bit of good fortune. And the 11th house is called pennies from heaven. Jupiter does rule the house of inheritance in your chart. So again, and the sun rules legacy wealth. So some of you could come into an inheritance of some sort, or you could come into some very fortunate chunks of money. I don't know how they would arrive. But yes, nothing I can do about that. My mic does have sound, what do you call it? The sound dimming effect on it. But I live between a fire station and a hospital. And yeah, that's probably why my Aries is going to move again. Finally, Jupiter's blessings to the eclipses comes from the house of siblings, travel, short distance journeys, things to do with in the neighborhood and neighbors. This is where there's a huge amount of blessings, social media, stories, writing, communicating. I think that whatever Jupiter can do to work with these eclipses, you're going to see threads to the third house. So you might have a really powerful opportunity for travel or move of location for your work connected to a new neighborhood, or some kind of career gains connected to writing, maybe communicating, marketing, selling, teaching, especially teaching if you're a Taurus teacher. If you want to get work or job opportunities in the local neighborhood, this looks really positive. That's where Jupiter's sitting. But also Jupiter is very, very, very much about expanding something, but he could be a generous sibling, a wealthy uncle, a childhood friend who comes to lend you a hand and has lots of generosity and wealth to give you. It could be very specifically a person. So not seen since 1895 is Jupiter supporting these eclipses, which brings me into mind that they're going to be better than not. And because Mercury, the eclipse leader of the fifth house, is in your sixth house, some of you may end up getting some new job out of this. You might end up from the eclipse of September 21st being employed in a new line of work sometime within a month before, and at least a few months after that eclipse. I can see lucky breaks in new employment, although you may have to travel or maybe change your location or change your neighborhood because of the work opportunities. We'll be doing a deeper dive on this, really covering the asteroids and the stars involved closer to the actual eclipse. Much more content available there, as well as I'll draw an oracle card for that. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the button and join me on future videos by being notified, subscribing, and liking what I'm doing. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. The energy here is very critical and very important because houses 4 and 10 are the kendras or the stakes of the chart, and they turn your wheel of destiny. And so the wheel of destiny is turning and changing. Major changes in home, major changes in career and reputation status and social standing, major shifts on the axis of your home life versus your professional life. Well, all that is turning and the wheel is spinning. It can also impact the themes for you of marriage and self, or long-term business and love partners and self, or your audience and marketplace and self. And everything is up for grabs. Everything is changing. Primarily because of Jupiter, we're going to see financial change, and it looks positive. Jupiter expands and exalts your earnings and your financial resources and your possessions. Some of you will change your home, let go, release, and surrender a home because of that 21st of September eclipse. And within a year, you will be moving. Mercury ruling the eclipse, you could move for love, for joy, for creativity, or because you have some money luck, some good fortune. Maybe you won some money. But the North Node is also up there in the 10th house, and with long game Saturn, serious Saturn, he's saying, well, how about expanding the worldly success, maybe even the fame quotient of your career and your reputation. So something up there is expanding and flowing from that eclipse that occurs on September 7th. The total lunar eclipse can also have you complete a path of work, especially with Saturn there. Sometimes Saturn says, okay, we climbed this mountain, what's next? And the North Node says, okay, let's break through to the other side of some peak apex experience, a climax experience in your career success, so that you can then say, I went out strong, I'm going to pursue something different and new. Those are all themes that could emerge for a lot of Geminis in the next year after these eclipses in the fall. Okay. And don't forget, this is just a preview of the axis of change. Saturn rules your house of inheritances, and Saturn is elder and in the house of father. So an elder father figure could help increase your money, and it may come through an inheritance as another example. Doesn't necessarily mean it will, but it could. I do love how Jupiter is wedging these guys up, and the wedge is so beautiful because it will fortify the strength of the eclipses in a very positive way. A beautiful new home, a beautiful new possession. It could be a car, an amazing expansion of wealth, worldly success, and career ambition in the next year. Wow, what is that? A 5 alarm blaze, for goodness sakes. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We have Jupiter in your first house. He'll be here until next year. And unlike anytime soon, we saw him in 1895 blessing this kind of eclipse cycle. That's how rare this thing is. With this energy, you want to compare notes. I mentioned this in the intro. This is like 87 to 89. This is like 2006 to 2008's eclipse cycle. This is just like now, 2024 to 2026, but it does trickle a bit into February of 27. So you're going to be working with this energy of change, destined and fated shifts. And the energy comes through the ninth and the third house. The ninth house is the house of God. So there's a big spiritual belief, spiritual philosophy, how you see life, the meaning of life, how you cobble together purpose in life. Those are themes that connect us to the dharmic ninth house. And with the energy of Saturn up there, retrograde through to February, there's something about finishing up what you started. You may not have realized that your meaning and purpose quotient hadn't quite been realized. There's book publishing up there, higher education is up there, travel to distant shores is up there, and you need to complete something. You want to finalize a definite dive into meaning. You can't see it, but Chiron is traveling in your 10th house since 2019. A lot of you have been looking for a purposeful career that uses your talents and gifts in the way that they're meant to be done, the natural gifts that you're born with. And when I think about that eclipse on September 7th, I definitely think some of you may simply be having the experience of coming into your own in terms of purpose and meaning in life, or in terms of spiritual philosophy. But if anyone's involved in the industry of book publishing, this is very favorable, for Jupiter is flowing and bringing the luck from you and as you and by you and through you into ninth house storylines. You could even, of course, win in a court or legal matter. The energy of the bottom of the chart there is the South Node is moving through an eclipse here on the 21st of September. It's going to open up a portal with a surrendered, let go, let God kind of vibe. You have to let go, right? Your hand can't hold on to something at the same, receive something when it's grasping. So you could be grasping, but the eclipse will have you let go of matters to do with the third house. Now, just be clear, that's your neighbor, is that your sibling, one younger than you? It may not be your problem. They're letting go. They're having a difficult ending or circumstance in their own life. They're having some challenges. You're on the sideline and you're witnessing them in a supportive way, perhaps. So not all stories are yours to have. You could let go, surrender, and release a ambitious educational or writing or traveling plan and have to turn into a different direction. And if you do, it's fated. Mercury is ruler of the 21st of September, the eclipse, and he's in the fourth house of home. With this combination, there is a possibility that some cancers will change their home. They will have to travel to do so. This could indicate going back to a place you've lived before, the South Node. And so if you have moved far from home, this could be a return to home base, to the country, or even the town or city or province or state that you were living in when you were younger, when you were in high school, or when you were in elementary school, which are third house matters. And so Mercury can translate this eclipse into a new home. So keep that in mind. Saturn owns the mortgages and financing and banking and the buyer of the seventh house. So a lot of this looks positive. And then finally, you're lucky, so damn lucky. Trust the process. Jupiter is bringing you the fortunes, but he also gives you what you need, right? He's very wise and all-knowing, not always what you want. That's the problem, right? We always think we know what is best for us, but Jupiter and Saturn have different kinds of agendas for us. Saturn says long game, and Jupiter says what will really make you joyful. You don't always know what's going to make you joyful. Alrighty, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a story here where we have a beautiful, a blessed eclipse cycle because of Jupiter's placement, giving everything a very positive glow that we have not seen in our skies at all since, well, way back in 1895. And so, first of all, the North Node is expanding your chunky money, and the South Node is having you let go of earnings that are on the sort of hustle, You might have to dispossess yourself of something with this kind of eclipse cycle, let go of an object of possession. But more importantly, and it is your one of the meanings of the second house is your family. Let go of attachment to family, maybe difficulties with a family member, including your children. But I think for here, it's really letting go of a way of orienting towards finances, money, earnings, and wealth. The North Node eclipse cycle can increase your access to money that's shared with others and increase your success in investments, in getting loans and mortgages, perhaps, and money that's connected to a spouse or inheritance. And so this energy activates with Saturn the elder in the house of inheritance, a possibility of an elder family member and an inheritance. Now, this is a lunar eclipse, so look for about a month before the 7th of September up to 6 months after that eclipse for these possibilities to emerge. It's a money axis 2-8 storyline. Now, I think with Jupiter in your 12th house, there's also some deep soul work going on here. And some of you may be looking at a chance for an enlightenment episode or a shift of perspective that's quite profound. Looking at the South Node Jupiter combination is not what you hold on to in terms of your financial earning strategy. It's what you let go of. And Jupiter can bring you money stories to you. 12th house is digital income, foreign land income, money from a foreign place or foreign person. It's quite a lovely Jupiter. Also, money from someone in a hospital and a / inheritance. I think that Jupiter here also opens up guru and doors to learning from a teacher. There's all of that as well. You might find a spiritual teacher, guide, or even a really good therapist in the wake of this narrative. Saturn is the energetic ruler of your 7th house. So not only do you expand money, but you expand the money you have and share with your main squeeze, your partner, or their money, and your money become quite profitable together. Mercury will have you perhaps travel because of the cluster of the 2nd house. You have some kind of ability to finance or spend money on something to do with trips, travel, or maybe neighborhood changes are a few thoughts I have. Or some of you might translate this energy of a Virgo South Node eclipse with Mercury in Libra library book to starting a writing project of some sort. And if you do that, I think it could go very well. Lord Jupiter will be able to facilitate energy moving to the 9th house by visual aid. Maybe he could get you into an opportunity for book publishing. You just never know. Virgo, this is just a mini preview of the eclipse cycle on the axis of change. For you, 1 and 7, it's self and other. This could be about a long-term relationship. It quite often is. Saturn is back in your 7th house, and that eclipse of the 9th, the total lunar eclipse, opens up the chance for some seriousness about the relationship, growing it up, asking how long it's going to last. What do we want here? Is it going to work? North Node wants to expand the container for the existing love stories. If you don't have a new existing love story, I guess you could meet a karmic new one with somebody significantly 7 years or more younger or older. That's a Saturn narrative. You'll notice that the September 21st eclipse is happening in your 1st house. This is going to impact how you think of yourself, your sense of being, and maybe even your health. So be careful with your health. However, Lord Jupiter is in a profoundly happy flow from the 11th house. And this means that you can find yourself reassessing how you feel about yourself and translate that into a very smart move around your finances. With Mercury in your 2nd house, this could literally be, I'm going to see myself in a different light because I'm opening up to go big or go home, long range goals, visions, and dreams for my life. But on the other hand, where Jupiter sits is the expansion of the rewards of the 10th house. So you might get more money, greater earnings, raises and promotions, greater public success, greater sort of appeal to groups of people and large social circles. So Jupiter's expanding all of that. Well, he also works with that South Node eclipse on September 21st. And I think that you might let go of some way of being, right? You could let go of a way of a bad health habit. The sun rules your addictions house. You could let go of some self-doubt or some way of not valuing yourself. That's where Mercury sits, so that you can be much more prosperous and happy in your life. And there's a bit of that vibe here that this can strengthen your relationship, because the more, whole and powerfully well and good you feel about yourself, the better everything else goes in your story of relationships to others, whether those are business partners, marriage partners, clients, or somebody you begin to date. And I will say that dating can happen. That can be a 6th house matter. And Saturn with the North Node for single Virgos could mean that in the next 6 months after the lunar eclipse of September the 7th, you might get into the dating scene and see what happens with that. It could be very destined, fated dating encounters. So we have the Libra sun, moon, and rising narrative here. And we have the energy of eclipses on the axis of things that are connected to your inner life, the time you spend alone, the way you might have a tendency to sabotage yourself without meaning to be your own worst enemy, even to encounter addictions. That's where South Node and the actual lunar solar eclipse will be on the 21st. And over here in the 6th house, you have something you need to let go of. There you have to let go of those addictions so you can expand into your 6th house of work and the career opportunities and job opportunities. And if there's anything I can give you, Libras, is holy man, are you doing well in your career? Are you doing well in your job stories? This is an extremely fortunate sky for Libras over the next year, really. But take this September, add 6 months for the lunar eclipse, expansion of growth of employees. Maybe you'll employ people, maybe you get a new job, maybe you're going to find new expansion of success in your work. You're going to work hard, but it's going to pay off. And Jupiter's adding expansion of success in the visible career, reputation, accomplishment zone. So career and work stories are all blessed. And this eclipse, though, lunar eclipse, is total, and it can be very revealing. We'll be diving into that separately. I wanted to give you a flavor only on this preview video. I think Mercury here in your 1st house is trying to translate that 12th house eclipse into your personal worldview, into how you show up in the world, how people see you. It's like doing go within or go without. A lot of you are going inward so that you can really contemplate how you want to show up in the world, which is very beautifully mercurial, very beautifully balanced with Libra. Mercurial people are sociable, funny, quite often mischievous, but also looking at life from the lens of kind of almost like a youthful quality. And there's a sense of returning to a youthful quality of being in your Libra career, in your Libra home, or in your Libra identity. Longer, much more detailed forecast will be coming out. This is just a hint or a preview of what's to come. Now, if you look at this for Scorpios, we'll see that the axis of change is going to go through the 11th and 5th house. This is again fertility, children, pregnancy, creativity, muse, business partnerships, but also matters to do with friends, allies, benefactors, career gains, and long-range goals and dreams. You're revising your long-range goals and dreams from these eclipses of the 7th and 21st of the month. And you're also expanding your creativity, your entrepreneurial output, your success in identifying what brings you joy and inspiration, as well as with Saturn, looking at the lasting long game strategies. This has got a lot of connection to fertility stories, especially with Venus connecting to the 21st eclipse. So if you are going to make a baby or thinking of making babies, baby making and fertility are important. Jupiter is in the house of children, grandchildren, or labor. So things to do with labor, conception, pregnancy, children and grandchildren being conceived or coming in destined, fated ways dominates the sky for you on this cycle. It can last up to a year after this September, where these themes continually work out for you. Mercury is watching things from your 12th house, ideas you have, communications you have, the way you think alone at home can be very powerfully destined to increase your creative or entrepreneurial success. You're going to let go, some of you, of a way of making money. And some of you may be called on this kind of a cycle to explore the possibility of re-education or education that really fulfills your creative impulse and your real natural talents. For a very few Scorpios, going to school, going back to university can come into play, but depends on your age. You may begin to teach a lot and become more like the professor from this kind of sky. Don't forget, you can teach anything. You don't have to teach astrophysics. If you know how to do something, this could impulse you to learn to become an educator or teacher of those things as well. That's what I got for you for sure. Moving into Sagittarius, preview of the axis of change on this eclipse cycle. We'll be doing individual long form videos. And as I said in the intro, everyone should go back to 1987 to 89, 2006 to 2008, 2004 to 2027. These are overlapping cycles of change. And it's hitting you on the stakes of the chart, the axis of home and work or professional ambition and success. 10th house, 4th house axis can also spin the wheel and change your relationship to marriage partners, marriage itself, and your own body and how you feel about yourself. So it's kind of like the wheel of fortune does spin very strongly here. I do want to say that Jupiter, not seen since 1895, blesses this story. He wants to bring superior gifts to you. He says, let me flow down to that south node and up to that north, up to the south node, down to the north node, creates a wedge, and he kind of opens up a doorway of financial chunks of money coming your way. Now, chunks of money, chunky money, Jupiter here can bring you an inheritance. He can bring you a tax rebate that's huge. He can bring you some chunk of financial wealth. You may even find your spouse's wealth increases, or the shared resources together become quite exceptionally powerful. This is really good for buying a home, selling a home, changing your home. But you seem to have financial wherewithal for the whole thing. Legacy wealth, an elder, money from an elder, like a grandparent or elderly parent, maybe sometimes inheritances from those people as well. And we'd say in the 6 months to 10 months, 12 months that follow the September eclipses, this could be true. And with the South Node up there, you want to change a career or reputation status, and you need to. It's going to happen whether you want to or not. And Mercury says, don't worry, we're going to bring in some success in career gains in another way. Something different wants to show up. You know, for this also could be the house of, visible wedding statuses, to legally declare one bride and groom. So this South Node up here and a fallen Venus, it could well suggest that you may be closing out a relationship and announcing it to the world, or having the official ending of a relationship on a legal basis. Mercury will bring you the best he can, new opportunities in career and new friendship circles as well, to translate from what the energy of the 10th house is. He's also going to help you rethink your long-range goals and dreams in the wake of these eclipses. This is just a preview, Capricorn. We'll have a whole deep dive video on this, but the North Node is expanding your third house, and this is going to add, on the eclipse of the 7th, a huge energy for travel. Some of you will get on the road in a plane, go somewhere. And with the South Node in the 10th house, 9th house, another travel visa passport house, I see a lot of travel emerging from the September eclipses, and could be a lot of travel locally or domestically in the next 6 months in particular. You could also be called to move away from some lofty educational path and try to expand into some skills-based learning, even professional learning. Mercury's trying to transfer something to a career success story, but it may come from having to learn or relearn or be re-educated for some career success or professional success. Even if your employer is hiring, teachers or tutors for you to do that. I love Jupiter, not seen since 1895 in your 7th house. This is really great for contracts, deals, business opportunities that bring great success, that you also can use as the energy of Jupiter amplifies the nodal axis in a positive way. Last seen in 1895, as I think I said. I think I told you, go back to 87, 89, 2006, 2008, 2024 to 2027 for overlapping storylines. Your spouse is Jupiter here, or in the house that Jupiter is in, like your spouse is actually the moon. But I think with Jupiter here, your spouse could be very, very lucky. Your spouse could have some kind of wealth occur in their life, and this can bless you as well and allow for you to have more freedom and adventure for travel, or a change of neighborhood. Saturn just tiptoed into your fourth house of home. Now he's back to the third house of the hood. It could be a desire now to know where your true home should be, to have a clear idea of what neighborhood you want to travel, or you might want to move to in your own country or in your own continent. So far, what I say is don't forget the luck, right? Other people bring you luck with Jupiter here. Luck could come from a sibling 3 older as well as 2 older than you. All said and done, you're looking like you're going to, if you're not with somebody, potentially travel and meet someone. If you're with someone, you may travel more than you normally do with that person. Jupiter here may try to seal the deal with a marriage proposal or a wedding date. And these eclipses may not be able to pull that off. They're not strong enough for that. So you might be seeing some issues going on around uncertainty in the level of commitment you want to make. This looks more like this could be an indication of a soft ending in some relationships rather than a new beginning. Sort of a namaste vibe. Oh my God, I'm so tired, guys. I'm literally falling asleep doing the video. And I have friends coming over in an hour and a half. Holy man, I need a nap. Okay, so Jupiter is in the 6th house, bringing luck to the eclipses. We haven't seen that, Aquarians. I'm one of you since 1895. I think that the North Node is expanding all things to do with your income. Saturn is stabilizing the long game, bringing you forms and structures to hold income, earnings, and possessions and resources stably. I think that there's energy on that axis of increasing your earnings and pulling away from dependencies or habits of relying on money that you already can, make money, kind of thing. 8th house can have you looking more deeply at letting go of ego structures that no longer serve you. And the energy of the eclipse of letting go, solar eclipse on the 21st, of structures that don't support you, especially psychologically. You've done this work before. You've gone through this at 87 to 89 and 2006 to 2008. Here we go again, 2024 to 27. But, Jupiter is the key linchpin, right? He flows from the work house to the money house. He flows from the work and health house to the 8th house of, your inner psyche and soul work and egoic identity. All said and done, it does look like better health can emerge from new patterns of eating and styles of eating. And Saturn says also the structure and form and control of addictions. I think a lot of you with the Mercury in your 9th house are going to travel abroad. There's going to be a way that money allows for more travel, but also may move you into the world of publications, book publishing, and maybe higher education. There's a good chance with Saturn moving back into the 3rd as well, that you might find yourself going to school again, learning something in the year that follows this eclipse. Jupiter is going to bless you around pets and rental properties. And as this situation looks very fortunate with the money axis, you may be able to find a home or a place to be where pets are allowed, or you have room for a pet. This looks very awesome and exciting as well. This is just a general preview. I have so much more to offer with the asteroids and everything else. This is just a heads up about the eclipses. And last and never least, of course, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks to me like you've got a story of your own expansion into some new identity, some big girl panties and big boy panties, and you're kind of figuring yourself out. You want to expand with the North Node in Pisces, who you are. You want to be more worldly, more successful, more fulfilled. You're letting destiny roll with it. You're got your hand off the steering wheel and you're saying, Jesus, take the wheel. Good old Carrie Underwood. I like this if you want your story with Saturn here to be about your long game change when it comes to your children, love, fertility, romance, creativity, and entrepreneurship, because Jupiter's here like 1895, blessing the North Node, and that eclipse happens, as we said earlier, on the 7th of September. And so I add about a month before and 6 months after. And what are you rolling forward on here that looks like an incredible opportunity to be very fortunate? Jupiter can bring you financial wins in this sky. And even with Saturn owning the house of pennies from heaven, you could have financial windfalls for sure. Buy a lottery ticket, guys. This is a positive eclipse. Now, when I look at the energy of the South Node eclipse on the 21st, there's some problems in your relationship, or there's an ending, or there's a letting go in a long-term committed love story or business partnership, or letting go of the way you interact with clients and public and audience. If there is a long-term love partnership and you need to refine it, because Jupiter might say not let go, but go deeper, find a spiritual essence of it, connect at a deeper level, that could happen too. The energy of that eclipse, takes us back in time, of course, and I had the exact times before. I gave them in the beginning of the video. Go watch it. But you want to compare to 87, 89, 2006 to 2008, 2024 to 2027. These cycles repeat. I hope I didn't repeat myself there. I'm almost asleep on you guys. And your children could be pregnant. Your children could have children. That's another way this could code for you guys. Creativity and entrepreneurship can bring reliable increase of personal fortune. So allow yourself to explore the creative, the artistic part of your life. Mercury is from the 7th in the 8th, money from the spouse. There's a translation of money connected to a long-term love partner. You may be able to share some financial fortunes that the long-term love partner is experiencing as well. And you might also find yourself with Mercury, the information guy, in the 8th house. You might find yourself having some really big insights during this eclipse itself, connected to those people in your life who have passed away. I mean, this would be one of those things where you get a dream message from a dead relative off of the South Node solar eclipse in your 7th house of long-term committed love relationships. I don't think you have to end a relationship. Jupiter is trying to sextile it, but South Node is definitely a let go, let God. And you already had this in March of 2024. So we'll see what goes on with that. Some of you might be closing a relationship out. And with the scales of commerce in the 8th house and Mercury there, maybe there's a lot of, detailed abacus, the counting tool from China, or is it Japan, for who gets what. There could be like a very nice separation of assets in an easy and positive way. That's what I've got just as an overview of the eclipses. I wanted to give you guys a heads up. We'll be doing videos on those eclipses in the month of September. Now, this chick is going to take a nap. I don't even have an outro. The outro is, if you check the Schumann resonance, go watch Stefan Burns, but I have the app for the Tomsk, Russia Schumann resonance thing. And it's been like spiking like crazy. The heartbeat of Mother Earth, the energy of our magnetic field for the Earth has been over the top, blackout, whiteout. It's a whiteout, and it can either make me totally high, right? Or I can't sleep, or sometimes it makes me tired. Right now, I didn't sleep well last night, and I'm just zonked. Finishing this recording on August 14th and coming out maybe 3 or 4 days later. I'll see you soon. Hopefully this is useful or enjoyable or something in between. Take care, guys. This is just a preview. I will promise I get an oracle draw for you, and we'll go so much deeper. Join me in Sky Reader. Check my description box below.